Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another stirring edition of Torah Talks with Rabbi Rabs and Luke Ford. I'm your host for the evening, Rabbi Rabs, coming to you live from the House of Rabs, and to my right is my co-host, the very one and only, very holy Levi ben Abraham, a.k.a. Luke Ford. Give it up for Levi, ladies and gentlemen, huh? Big night tonight, huh? Levi's wearing the hat again, down in the, would you sit down and get in the camera? Down in the Frummy gear.
I decided to be religious.
What brings that on, Levi?
Is an impulse.
Oh, wow. That's an impulse from the Yetzer Hara or the Yetzer Tov? From the good inclination or the bad one?
I'll let other people decide that.
Very good.
But we're talking about Ashkenazi women, how they remind you of your aunts and your mother.
All right.
And therefore they're not erotic for you.
Well, let me ask the folks here. Here's the situation we're talking about. I am a product of two Ashkenazi Jewish parents. Both Ashkenazi Jewish parents only have Ashkenazi Jewish lineage in them. And I'm just like a product of generations and generations of Ashkenazi Jews marrying each other. And if you study your history very much, you'll know that Ashkenazi Jews practiced a lot of inbreeding. And because of that, there's a look amongst Ashkenazi Jews that's very similar to each other. I would say there's maybe like 12 looks. Like you have 12 tribes, and each tribe inbreeded. And then, like, after a while, you have just 12 looks. And I think there's like a dozen looks of Ashkenazi Jews. And, like, you've seen 12 Ashkenazi women, you've basically seen all of them. Because there ain't no other look you're going to see. It's like, basically, we all look alike.
Frizzy hair.
That's one of the looks, right? So my problem is like this. I'm usually not attracted to a woman if both of her parents are Ashkenazi Jews.
Right. I'm
just not attracted to her. Because here's the problem. Chances are, and I find this more often than you can imagine, they look like my sister, they look like my mom, they look like my mom's sisters, they look like my grandma, they all look like somebody in my family. And I'm not attracted to them. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a positive thing that I'm not attracted to them, because it would worry me if, like, I would get aroused by somebody who looked like my mom. Because it's like saying, like, oh, wow, she looks like my mom. I want to do her because really I want to get in touch with that. I really want to fantasize and think it's my mom, which kind of creeps me out, right? You know? So tell me I'm wrong here when I say I don't think I can get it up for an Ashkenazi woman, right? Because I couldn't get it up for a woman who looks like my mom or my sister. Tell me I'm wrong there, Levi. It's silent. You're supposed to say something. You wanted me to do the segment.
Oh, yeah. I understand that. I think there's more diversity. I mean, what about Natalie Portman?
Is she, I don't know who she is. Is she...
She's a Jewish actress, but I have no idea how Ashkenazi she is. But...
don't bring me something from somebody you don't know.
But I will say, a lot of people will say...
Oh, touchdown!
A lot of people say that Jewish women are sexually cold, and that's not been my experience.
Okay, so that's it. So another thing is, like, seriously, if, like I said, there's only like 12 looks of double Ashkenazi women. When I say double Ashkenazi, I mean that both parents are Ashkenaz. There's like 12 looks. So if you, like, kept moving around to find different Ashkenazi women who look different, like, you've dated 12 women and they all now will look the same. So every one of them is going to remind you of one of your ex-girlfriends. So that's another problem. You can only go out with 12 Ashkenazi Jews until they all look alike. And, you know, now you're going out, like, you know, like, what are the names? You know, it's going to be like, all the names are the same after a while anyways, too, right? Oh, especially if you're in Chabad, because they're all named Chaim Mushka, right? Right, but no, like, they're all the same. They're all like Sarah, Rivka, what is it? You know, Rachel, Leah, Fagi. You know, they're all like the same names, right? And then after a while, you know, they all look alike. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you're the fourth. Give me the most common one, you know. You're the fourth Devorah. They'll look like that, you know. It's like you like start thinking like you're with your ex-girlfriend named Devorah because they looked alike, and they probably talk alike too. And so I just can't get into it. That's why, Levi, go ahead. You say something now.
Well, for me, just knowing that the woman can, like, pass the Chumash and, you know, can read the Hebrew and the Rashi script. If a woman can read Rashi script, that makes her incredibly erotic to me. And so all I need is a woman who fears God and loves Torah and loves doing mitzvahs. And
right on.
And I'm just I mean, my cup runneth over.
You're not even paying attention to anything I've said so far. Basically, you have no idea what I've been talking about. You've been reading the chat room, thinking about, like, I don't want to say anything that's going to, like, discourage women from coming to me, right? So, like, you have no idea what I just talked about. I could have talked about, how I tripped over a manhole cover today on Pico. You wouldn't know because you were not paying attention.
I was paying attention.
What did I say?
You said that Ashkenazi women who come from two Ashkenazi parents tend to remind you of your aunts and your mother.
That was about 5 minutes ago.
That there are about 12 basic looks for Ashkenazi women.
Right.
Now, if you've dated a dozen Ashkenazi women, then any more you meet after that would just remind you of your ex-girlfriends because they all have the same names.
And then they'll have the same looks.
Right, the same look.
And here's another thing.
But if you watch,
go ahead,
you watch like movies or videos, you can like imagine that you're with Mila Kunis or Natalie Portman and just shut your eyes because
Levy, we just discussed how you don't want to let women. You don't want to say something that's going to push women away. This is going to push women away because this ties into your problem.
It feels the same.
It's going to tie into your problem, Levy. This is what repels women. Is they fear that when they're with you, you're thinking about somebody else.
So you can close your eyes and you can imagine you're with the checkout girl at the kosher supermarket at the street. And so it doesn't really matter who you're with actuality because the mind is so powerful. Like, it's the checkout girl.
All right, so and here's another thing we were talking about is because we're talking about inbreeding and the Ashkenazi Jews inbreed, and it's my own theory, and I have a very strong belief in this theory that due to hundreds and hundreds of years of inbreeding amongst Ashkenazi Jews has rendered us incapable, many of us incapable of coming up with our own original thoughts, and we've been reduced to the level of we can't think for ourselves, and we just are programmed to just follow things in a box. It's very tunnel thinking, very limited scope. You can put a lot of information in there, but people are not, they're just regurgitating information and they're not really thinking, and they're not able to think outside of the box. Okay? So when you've dated 12 Ashkenazi women, chances, and they don't look alike, that means you've ran the gamut, you've dated the whole line of automobiles. Like you go to like the Toyota dealer and you test drive the whole line. You were on the Camry and the Prius and whatever and the Lexus, and you test drive them all. Okay, so 12 is about all they have.
When you say test drive, you mean
no, lady,
individually mounted each one and like fitted and made sure that it fits just right. And it's like it's not too loose, yeah, it's not too tight, but there's just the right amount of friction.
Okay. So, what am I saying? Way to throw me. So you've gone out with 12. You not only have every single possible look of an Ashkenazi woman, and the same names because there's only like 12 names they all use, but on top of that, they all think alike. So you're going to get very narrow, focused thoughts. And if you're worried, Rabs, you just put your foot in your mouth because these chicks aren't going to be interested in me, I really don't care because I'm not really going to be attracted to a double Ashkenazi anyways. And it's reflected in the women I've dated. I don't think I've dated any double Ashkenazi women for any serious length of time.
For me, double Ashkenazi is double good. Bring it on. Hiya, Rivka.
This would be great. Me and Levi would do great, scamming chicks together, because when the double Ashkenazi shows up,
you can have the one with the piercings.
give me whatever.
Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses with piercings.
I'll take
yelling to be free.
See, because here I was saying this before the show. Here's how I always look. To me, I always prefer a convert, somebody whose father is not Jewish. Okay, underneath that would be somebody who's born with two parents who were converts. That interests me. Spread out the gene pool. Get some somebody who didn't grow up with narrow-minded double Ashkenazi stuck, thinking like that. Get somebody who's a little bit more got some different genes. Let's get some of that going. Looks a little different. Thinks a little different. Got a different name. I think we've ran out of Rivkas, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that somebody like that, and if it has to be somebody whose both parents were lineage wise or have always been Jewish, and there's no Gerim and there's no Goyim in the line, then give me a Persian woman. I say because I know that doesn't work with the parents. Or give me a Sephardi woman, or if you have to, make it that one parent is Sephardi and one is Ashkenaz. Double Ashkenaz. I mean, I'm willing to try it, but I'm just telling you, it's a difficult match. What do you say?
You say we had a viral video this week.
Okay, you want to switch the topic altogether?
So you went off about Israel's 3-video campaign to bring back Israelis living in the United States, or about 2 million Israelis living in the United States, and this video campaign wanted to convince them not to marry American, but to move back to Israel. And our video discussion of that, the 2-minute highlight clip, got over 500 views.
You know what? You also forgot that I put it on another one on my own website, and I got about 100 views.
Okay.
So yours are going to always get more because people come to your site looking for porn.
That's for sure.
So it got
666 views.
We got 613 views, and it's only been out less than a week. That's pretty good for us on our first week.
Yeah, normally we get 25.
25 views, right? And 24 of those have the last name of Kleideman. So that's pretty good for us. Now, so a lot of people are into that. What do you think that is, Levi?
Well, it's a topic that Jews are constantly competing over who's more Jewish or less Jewish. So you run a video campaign saying you're less Jewish, American Jews are less Jewish than Israeli Jews, you're sure to arouse a furious reaction from American Jews who are insecure. American Jews who are secure with their identity don't really care so much, but American Jews who are insecure about their identity, how dare you say that I'm less Jewish than an Israeli Jew, and so it creates a furor.
Well, I don't know if I would agree with that. I get pissed when I got irritated when I've heard over and over Israelis say, I'm more Jewish than you because I've actually lived in Israel. That makes you more Jewish. And I've served in the army. And I don't know if you've heard it before, but I've heard it several times from Israelis. And it's very annoying to me to hear it, And basically they're saying they're more Jewish than me, right?
Yeah.
And the ones that really drive me crazy are when an American moves there, right? Because that person is so insecure with their own Jewishness, as you would say. So to make up for that, they're going to go move there to prove, look how Jewish I am. I moved to Israel. Oh, I'm so Jewish. And then they turn around and tell you that they're more Jewish than you because they went there. And it's just you know what, dude? Blocked. I don't want to hear it. I really, you drive me crazy, okay? So there's that. Now, so this thing made it viral.
Yeah, and you had a comment. You saw an article where this woman...
Oh, I was on the internet, and I saw that some woman, I don't know where I saw it, where I came across this, but I saw that a woman wrote an article. And I'll see if I can dig it up. And I'll forward it to you, or maybe put it on your blog, or I'll post it on my Facebook.
Yeah.
Remind me. This woman, and I don't know her name or anything, but she wrote. She's a Jew living in America, and she married. She was born in Eretz Israel, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she moved to America. She married an American Jewish guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have the details right. I might be off a little bit, but she seemed to be the exact target that they were trying to reach with these commercials. And she saw these commercials, and she was highly offended. And she wrote an article, and it was published in one of these Jewish websites. And she went off, and she said, basically the article's called "Israel is Not My Home." And she said it's reasons like this that really pissed her off about this country. And now this woman didn't seem to be from at all. She seemed to be secular. She seemed to be exactly who they were trying to reach. But she said this effort, this campaign is now, according to her, is backfired. Because it pisses off someone like her, right, who is the person they're trying to bring back, because it says to them, they're making the same kind of divisions between Jews, right, that the secular people get pissed off about, like the religious community makes the religious community will say, oh, whatever, they're trying to make like divisions, like, you can't get on this bus, or whatever the hell it is that, she said that the Israeli government is now guilty of doing it themselves, because they defined, different types of who you are as a Jew, and you're an American Jew, you shouldn't be, and it's like, these are the things that are pissing her off, and it's like, these are the reasons that until State of Israel stops doing these kind of things, she has no interest in going back there. I thought it was a very interesting article.
Yeah, I think the State of Israel is better off without that kind of whiny Jewess. But I agree with those Americans who move to Israel and think they become more Jewish. I think that a Jew who lives in Israel is more Jewish than a Jew who doesn't live in Israel.
What?
All of the things being equal. Just like if you know Hebrew, you're more Jewish than if you don't know Hebrew, and if you keep mitzvahs, you're more Jewish than if you don't.
What the hell are you talking
Obviously, the ideal is, in the Torah perspective, is you live in Israel. Like the holidays are meant to be celebrated in Jerusalem and in Israel. The seasons that we pray for when we pray for rain is meant to be observed in Israel. The things we pray about happen in many of them, specifically the land of Israel. So clearly the ideal for a Jew is to live in the Jewish homeland.
No, I would completely disagree with that. I would say, for Kara, the opposite. The ideal for a Jew is right now to live here in a place like America, which I explained last week, is the new Babylon. America is the new Babylon, and the greatest learning center and the greatest place for Jews in our history was when we lived for 1,000 years in Babylon. This is where a Jew needs to be today. Not running off to the State of Israel and waving a blue and white flag. Look at me, I'm a big Jew. Woo! No, it's not that. Today, the job of a Jew is to be in America, make this a Makom Kodesh, make this a place of learning, make this a place of Torah. This is our destiny, and this is where we need to be. It is not for us to go running off to the State of Israel and
join the army,
joining the army, and like that's some sort of thing that Jews should be doing.
Occupy Gaza.
A Jew was created to learn Torah and do mitzvahs, not run off, join the army and drink a bunch of beers. And,
You got to admit, those Israeli women who joined the army, their bodies are tight. American women are the same age. They've got like 2 to 3 more inches of fat, around the hips. But those Israeli women, they're tight. Their bodies are hard. They're working out. They're fit. I can only imagine what it'd be like to be with someone like that. They know how to handle a long, hard gun. They're not frightened by, really big weaponry. And Israeli women are hot. They got the uniforms. They've probably got easy access to handcuffs. You can, good times, oh la la. I remember I was on a Jewish Federation trip to Israel. And like many of my trip mates were American Jewesses, they had a few extra inches of flab around the hips. And then, I'd be walking with them and look around. There are these taut, tight, fit Israeli young women carrying guns. And it was like, yeah, arrest me right now.
In the chat room, by the way, big shout out. We have a big filled chat room. Liquid Rob's
Yes, I'm interested. There's an Israeli woman that Justin wants to set me up with. I am so interested. I am so there. I'm Yisrael High.
Hold on 1 second. One thing at a time. First of all, big shout out in the chat room. We have Liquid Rob, Rev Taco, we have Justin, and we have 2 instances of Malachi. So hi to everybody in the chat room. Justin's got a woman for. We're playing the.
High five.
We're playing the matchmaker game. Oh, does he have a woman for you? Yeah, because there's nothing like some amateur matchmaker getting involved and trying to screw up somebody else's life, right? We talked about that too at length, right?
Just give him my Facebook, baby.
Yeah, it takes God 8 hours a day of his life to figure out how to make a match, but Justin has it figured out already. So lady, here's the thing. Do you realize that TV ad is directed directly at her to try to keep her from marrying you? Doesn't that?
But I'll make Aliyah. I want to join the army, the IDF, to to protect Israel from
No,
its enemies.
no, that's not why. You want to join the IDF so you can put pictures on your blog of all the Israeli women in their green khaki shorts. That is exactly why.
I just want to be their commanding officer.
They're not going to make you an officer.
Why not?
Because you're an American, you don't speak Hebrew.
Aside from that.
You're never going to be an officer, man. I hate to inform you the bad news.
Like with Rob, is she cool with a 45-year-old man with no money? I got prospects. I teach the Alexander technique. Tell her that I teach the Alexander technique, and I want to make one-man plays about my sex addiction.
Liquid Rob writes, if Israel were destroyed, 80% of American Jews would walk away from religion. Dude, 80% of American Jews have already walked out of the religion. And the 20% who are from today couldn't give a shit. Their frumkeit is not in any way affected one way or the other by what goes on in the state of Israel. It's totally mutually exclusive, you know. So that whole statement is just fallacious. Okay, so that's the story on that. So we touched on a topic. You know, when I saw it on your blog, like just a few minutes before we went live, we're in front of this viral spiral. We're in front of this story with my thing about Israel. So good job, high five to us. Yeah, Torah Talk's always on top of the issues, always on top. What's the next topic, Levi?
That poster about
You want to do that next? I need my glasses.
polygamous marriage.
Okay, for this one, you know, I haven't looked and said, where's my glasses? Oh, they're on my head. I have to move forward, okay? For the next one, I have a graphic, if you will. I have some artwork that works with this.
Yes, Justin, I want kids.
He wants kids, because he wants to screw up other people's lives. Okay,
I'll be a great father.
everybody open up your browsers, because there's some artwork you need to see to pull this one off, okay?
Oh, I'll just post it on my blog.
You'll post it on your blog, but for right now, I want the audience to see what I'm talking about. So go to rabs.com, R-A-B-B-S, that's rabs with two B's, .com / and it's called marriage. It's just regular marriage.jpg, JPG, and you should get this. Should I flip
Post the link in the chat room.
Oh, that's brilliant. You know how to think. Okay, I'm going to go into the chat room and I'm going to paste it. Everybody go to there. Okay? So if you're in the chat room, find the link I just posted, click on it, you can see the thing this chart. Now the reason why I bring up this chart is because it was brought to my attention today. This chart is apparently going around on the internet, Levi. It's a viral thing, and it's a chart, and it's obviously put together by somebody who has a great problem with religion, and what kind of religion? Any biblical religion, and they're trying to. And I don't really know who started this, to be honest. Okay, but I'm going to guess, just based on it, that you're trying to show how the biblical marriage between a man and a woman or whatever, you know, try to make a joke out of it and show you how stupid it is and blah, 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 blah. And then they can probably say, once we've knocked that out, then we can say that two men can have, Larry can marry Joe.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know if I'm right about that or not. I really don't. It just seems like it. Okay? It got the look and the feel of, this is put together by liberal, atheists, whatever, secularists who hate religion. Now, the problem here, Levi, is that this is about a biblical religion. And I have said so many times, so many times in the course of the year and a half that we've been doing the show, that Judaism is not a biblical religion. Judaism is a Talmudic religion. Judaism is a Talmudic religion. It is not a biblical religion. We do not read the Bible in
and ask us, oh God, explain these words to us. Open our hearts to understand your holy word.
The Bible is not supposed to be learned in a vacuum. The written Torah was not given by God to here's the written Torah and these are the laws. The written Torah is not a legal book. It's not a law book. We do not determine law based on the Bible. What we have for that is called the oral Torah. The oral Torah, which is found in the Talmud and in the other oral Talmud, the oral Torah literature, that was given to us at Mount Sinai by God, and that is what we follow. That is what we do. What is the written Torah used for? You know what I found? There was a great quote today by somebody, right? One of our viewers named Adam. Big shout out to Adam. He called it the notes that people take when they hear a lecture. I love that. Think of the written Torah as notes that somebody took after they heard a lecture. You can't go and say that you understand the lecture when you didn't attend the lecture, and all you have are some notes which were written in some gobbledygook. You don't really understand the writing. The person wrote it, like in a language you don't speak. It was translated, and it's only like got a minuscule of the information. You don't even know what you're talking about. If you think that this is what we follow as the laws, then you are completely ignorant. Okay? The worst kind of ignorant. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, and you need to shut the fuck up. Now, somebody put out this what do you call this thing? A graph. A JPEG. Thank you for that. This graph. And it's full of the worst kind of stupidities. It is all based on just the word of the Bible. But again, we are not a biblical religion. This has nothing to do with us. We are a Talmudic religion. And when you know, and the Bible, of course, is our doing. God told the Jews to write the Bible. And He dictated it word to word to us. But we also knew the oral Torah at the same time. And if you only have the Bible, the written, this is the kind of gross stupidities that what comes out of it. These are the kind of things that you can expect to see when you don't have the oral Torah. It's like trying to follow the rules to something really complicated when you haven't read the rule book. What I am going to do, because I posted this today and there's some interest in it, because people want me to say, okay, explain each panel and what is wrong with this picture. I mean, there's just like everything wrong. In many of these panels, it's the exact opposite of what the panel says. And I will go through each one starting with, on the upper left-hand side. I'll move from left to right rather than from right to left. From left to right at the top, it says, man and woman is the nuclear family, quotes Genesis, wives subordinate to their husbands. Where does that come from? The Hechitese. Where do we know that wives are subordinate to their husbands? In Judaism, the Talmud tells us that it's an equal partnership. That the woman runs the home, okay, and the man he runs all the base medrash stuff. The man is in charge of the Torah in the house and bringing home the parnasa, bringing home the money, and the woman is in charge of the house, and he has to satisfy her. You know about this, right? When it comes to the bed.
I know about that. I've lived it. I mean, I've sweated great big drops of sweat trying to keep her satisfied.
The man has to satisfy the woman maritably, or whatever you want to call it. Her conjugal rights. She's entitled to that as one of the basic foundations of the marriage. If he doesn't fulfill her, doesn't satisfy her, vaginally, clitorically, anything, if she demands
backdoor sex, he's got to.
If she
step
wants
up to the plate, with his Louisville Slugger.
If she wants it, if she requires that she be licked like in a figure 8 pattern,
right.
Then he has to do the figure 8. Like if she just wants
the alphabet
or up and down, he has to comply. But there's nothing that says that she in any way has to satisfy him. So the whole idea that she's subordinate to her, I say bullshit. I would say he's more subordinate to her because he has to satisfy her in the bedroom, and she does not have to do that. Interfaith marriages are forbidden. I want to know where they got that from, because that is absolutely true, but let's understand who interfaith marriages are. Can we stop doing that, please? Interfaith is a Jew and a non-Jew. A Jew may not marry a non-Jew. That is not considered a marriage. Okay? You can call it whatever you want. That's not a marriage. Right? A Jew must marry a Jew, and a non-Jew may marry a non-Jew. A non-Jew can marry any kind of non-Jew. It doesn't matter. So I don't know what interfaith means, Levi. What does the interfaith mean here? Does it mean
Jew? Marrying non-Jews.
Where do they get that from? I don't know where they get that from. Marriage is generally arranged not based on romantic love. That is true. I don't know where they got that from, but that is true. But here's where the grotesque bullshit comes. Bride who could not prove her virginity was stoned to death. Bullshit! There is no such case of that. I don't know where they got it, but that's absolute falsehood. There is no such case of that. There's nowhere does it say that such a thing could ever happen. A bride who could not prove her virginity was stoned to death? That doesn't even make sense. The only times that we talk about a woman stoned to death based on the fact that she had sex with somebody is if she had sex she was married and she had sex with another man. But if she had premarital sex just with somebody else, just random sex, lady, can you picture such a thing?
If I use my imagination.
She could have sex every night with 5 different men, right? And they could be whatever. And she could have that going on. She could have screwed 4,000 different... She could be like some sex therapist. And
sex surrogate.
Sex surrogate therapist, whatever. And she could have 5,000 men. Yeah. And then she marries some guy. She's not stoned to death. She's not allowed to do any of those things because it's called an Isser Lav, because it's promiscuity, and each time she does it, she's violating the Torah. But none of those things carry the death penalty. We talked about this, I think, last week or the week before, that the only types of things that carry the death penalty for sex is if you do it with your mother, or God, we're getting back to incest again, right? You do it with your mother or your sister, right? Or your son or your daughter or whatever. You do it with a family member, or you do it with a married woman, or a married woman that does it with a guy. This is impossible. I don't know where they got it from, but it's bullshit. Next thing. It says a man and a brother's widow is the levirate marriage. That's true. But here's where they go way off the charts. Widow who had not borne a son required to marry her brother-in-law. A widow who had not had a son required to marry her brother-in-law. That is exactly the opposite. A brother-in-law of a woman who did not have a son is required to marry the widow. The brother-in-law, if his brother died, leaving the sister-in-law without a son, he is required to marry her. She's not required to marry him. He's required to marry her because she's entitled to a kid from this family, or a son from this family. If she didn't get one from her husband and he died, then she's entitled to get it from the brother. Now, we have a way out of that. It's called chalitza, right? So in actuality, we don't do Yavamos. Levirate marriage, which is Yavamos. We don't do it. We never did it because we always do chalitza, which you take a shoe and you bang it like Khrushchev, and then you're out of it, right? We'll be talking about this in a parsha coming up with Yehuda and Tamar. But the point is, if the woman really wants it, she can push that thing. It's for her own benefit. It's not to take advantage of the woman. It's that the woman should not be taken advantage of. So they've taken this thing and put it on it. They've turned this thing on its head. And then it says she must submit sexually to her new husband. No, he must submit sexually to her, unless they perform the chalitza. Oh God. Next one, man and wife and the concubines, and it's really cute because the concubine is dressed up like I Dream of Jeannie. That guy on my Facebook, Aaron, pointed that out. But okay, does everyone know what a concubine is? A concubine is a pelagish, right? A pelagish is a marriage. It's a marriage that doesn't contain Hariyat Mikadesh's Li. It has no Kedushin on it. She doesn't get a ketubah. She doesn't get a kasuba. So it's like, it'd be tantamount today with somebody that you're living together with, a common, what do they call it, a commonwealth? Or
common law marriage.
Common law marriage. It would be a common law marriage where you're shacked up with somebody, and then they're your significant other, but you never really got formally married, right? Kind of like Phil Jackson, who's the former Lakers coach, and what's her name? Jean Buss, who's the daughter. She's
the Laker owner.
She's the daughter of the Laker owner. She's also like the executive something of the team. They've been living together for a while, and she calls him her common law husband. That's what a concubine is, right? It's not like, some sort of, sexy whatever. It's just somebody that they didn't have the formality of a marriage. We are not allowed to have concubines today. That the halacha is we stopped having those because it's a nicety to women, to our wives, to protect them. We guarantee that they get a kasuva. So having a concubine is something that we're not even allowed to have today. Next says the rapist and his victim. This one is really grotesque. It says the virgin who is raped must marry her rapist. No. It's that the rapist who rapes a woman must marry her.
If she wants to be married.
If she wants to be married from her, he must do it. That's a punishment against him to protect her, not the other way around. We don't reward the rapist. We don't say, "Oh, you raped her. Good job, buddy. You can keep her. Woo! Way to get your dick inside her. That was really good." No, we don't do that. What kind of fucking religion do you think we are? No, it's that if the woman gets raped, now you might say, why would she want that? Well, I can think of a couple of reasons. What if it went around town that, she has now done it with this guy, right? And she might want it for her own protection, say, well, you deflowered me, now you're stuck with me. She might do that. What if she got pregnant from this guy?
There's something going on right here.
Okay, thanks for letting me know, because that spittle could ruin the whole segment. Everybody's like, hey, what's going on with this spittle? Thanks for that. Now, what if she got pregnant? Now you're thinking, well, just get an abortion, but maybe there was a time and place where they couldn't get abortions, right? Right? And she had to have this...
What if the guy was rich?
Oh, then she gets a piece of it, right? So wait, let's get two parts of this.
He gets a piece of her, she gets a piece of him.
Okay, so wait, no, two things on this. Wait, first of all, the part with the abortion, if he got her pregnant, she had to have his kid, why should she have to bring the kid up on her own? Let him take some responsibility for it. It's his kid, right? So it forced him to marry her, right? So it's like a paternity suit thing, right? And the other thing that Levi's mentioning is, what if this guy's filthy rich? What if Kobe Bryant raped some Jewish chick, right? She's like, hey, you know what? I want a buyout option, right? I want a $5 million ring, right? So it's a deterrent. It's preventive measures to keep a man from raping a woman, because he realizes he's in this thing for the long haul if he does it. Keep your snake inside the grass, boys, because you let it out and you're going to have to pay for these Jewish women the rest of your life. Okay, any questions so far?
No.
Okay, next one. Man and a woman's property. It says, man could acquire his wife's property, including her slaves. And look, it has the slave with chains on her, right? It's like, she might as well have an afro, right, and be named Thelma coming off the boats, right, in Georgia. That's not exactly, it says that a slave, first of all, a slave is a terrible translation. We talked about that. Better it's call it indentured servant. These people had freedom, but... And they were. What does it say? What does the Talmud say? When you hire a slave,
you hire a master.
Because if there's one pillow in the house, who gets it, Levi?
The slave.
The servant gets it. The servant. It's not a slave. It's a servant. It's not a slave. There are no slaves in Torah. There are indentured servants, right, who go to work to pay off a bad loan or money that they stole from you. And can you mistreat these people? No, you have to treat them better than you treat yourself. So if there's only one pillow in the house, that person gets it, right? Okay, so let's not use the word slave. They're just indentured servants. They don't have chains on them. Ugh. It says man could acquire his wife's property, including her slaves. It says Genesis 16, right? You know what that is, Levi? That's the story of Sarah handing over Hagar, her shifcha, her handmaid, or whatever you want to, her servant, over to Abraham. And it makes it sound like she's the property of Sarah, and she just handed him over and said, here, enjoy. No. The shifcha, Hagar, had a choice in the matter. She was like, okay, Hagar, she basically said, hey, if you two want to do it, that would be good, because I can't give birth, so, I can give Abraham a son if you're willing to do it. And she said, sure, I'll do it. I love a little Jewish Little Jewish action.
Little Jewish Action.
Little
Great
Jew-
magazine.
Yes. So she went for it, but it's not that that he acquired her against her will. Okay? I mean, come on. Next one. Male soldier and a prisoner of war. This is, I've seen this before. This is just unbelievable. Okay. All right. It says, under Moses' command, Israelites kill every Midianite man, woman, and child, except for the virgin girls who are taken as spoils of war. Okay. Wives must submit sexually to their new owners. And it quotes Numbers 31 and Deuteronomy 21. This I've seen before. This just gets me nauseated. Okay. There's two separate parshas. Are you paying attention to this at all? What are the two parshas? One is the story of the Midianites, right? Mm-hmm. The Jews go out right after Midian try to get us. They got us to the men to fornicate with the women. So God said, you know what? Go destroy these people. Okay, go destroy these people. So they went out and they brought home. They went out and killed all the men or whatever. And they brought home all the women and the children. And Moses said, what the hell are you doing? You're not supposed to bring back the women, because these are the same women that caused you to sin. So what they did was, any woman who was able to have, she was at the age where she was able to have sex, they were killed, because these were the problematic ones, right? But the girls who were under the age of, that they're able to have sex, right, they were spared. They were kept alive because obviously they had nothing to do with the problem. Okay? So, but this implies, what's written here in this chart implies that they went out and killed everybody, but they brought home all the virgin girls, and because they're spoils of war. No, they saved. See, this is like almost anti-Semitic. They saved the lives of all the women, but Moses said, no, you can't save the lives of the women who are part of this problem, because that is exactly who we need to destroy. God said to destroy those who caused us to sin. Right? There was no reason to kill the virgin girls, the underage girls, there was no reason to kill them. So that was a kindness, it was an unnecessary to kill those girls because they were innocent. Not because they were virgins, we wanted them for ourselves because we like young virgins. That's not the reason. Okay, and it says wives must submit sexually to their new owners. That's talking about, this is a bad translation, a bad understanding of Deuteronomy 21, which is talking about the Yapis Toar, which is the
woman taken captive.
The captive woman, thank you. The captive woman, it says that when you go to war and you come back, you find like some really hot Vietnamese chick, because you're in Da Nang for 6 years, and you found some
Pyongyang,
right? And she says, "Oh, I make sucky," right? So you marry her and you bring her home, and Torah understands that war has a way on a guy, and it makes him so horny, right? He comes home and he has this woman with him. So Torah says, "Hey, what do you got to do? You want this woman, we need to prove that you're not taking her just for sex." Okay? So you're going to have to take some actions now to prove that she is not yours for sex, that you're taking her because you really want a wife. So it says you have to shave her head, right? I think clip her fingernails or something, make herself ugly, maybe for Levi she has to put in a couple of piercings in a few places, really turn him off, And then you lock her away, for 3 months or something. And if you still want her after that, then we say, okay, so it's not because of sex; it's because you really want this person. And then she converts and she becomes your wife. Okay. And if she decides she doesn't want to do it, or you decide you don't want to do it, then you're allowed to have her stay on as a indentured servant. Whatever. Okay, but the point is, it's not about sex. She's not a sex slave. It's the opposite of sex. We need to prove that you picked her up because you're really interested in her, because she's a very smart young lady, and you want to have her as your wife. Okay? So we need to prove that you're not just doing this for sex. But what this is turned around and said is, these wives must submit sexually to their new owners. It's because she wants to, because she's your wife. Okay. The next one is man and woman and woman and woman is polygamy. Well, first of all, it's polygamy. Learn the word. Yes, we're allowed to have that according to the Torah, and it brings like all these sources, and that is the biblical, that is actually the first thing that they got right. That's the first one of these panels that's 100% right. The only thing I would add to it is that Jews have, 1,000 years ago, we have a rabbinical decree from Rabbeinu Gershon for the Ashkenaz Jews. We can't do this anymore, right? Because we used to have more than one wife, right? But the Rambam talks about it. He's not Ashkenaz, and about 100 years later, he's talking about it like, yeah, it's not, you can have more than one wife. And the non-Ashkenazi, or at least the Sfard, stopped having more than one wife in 1948. So this is actually factual. So this is like the one panel that's okay. And by the way, this is my argument why it's such a dangerous idea to legalize same-sex marriage. Because once you legalize same-sex marriage in America, you're just what about a polygamous couple? They're not a couple. They're
a threesome.
A foursome in this case. If you have a foursome, what's keeping? Why don't they have rights? Especially when they actually have a biblical, legitimate source for it. Now, Jews don't have any source for it anymore. But if you're just a goy who follows the Bible, you have a source for it, and you might have 3 wives, right? And you may live in Utah, wherever they live, and you're like, well, why can't I? I follow the Bible. I have 3 wives. It says I'm allowed to. Larry and Jack live next door to me, and they're now considered married, and they're 2 guys, which the Bible says is an abomination, and we allow that. Why can't I be married to these 3 women?
Yeah.
Betty,
Sally,
and Diane. So I would say equal protection clause, 14th Amendment, right?
Yeah.
If Larry and Jack next door can, and that's called a marriage, I don't see on where America has legal grounds to stop this foursome. I absolutely believe it falls under once you open up the door, once you change the definition of marriage from one man and one woman, you open up the door to all kinds of marriages, and it won't be long before some animal lover nut wants to marry their dog. That's around the corner too, right? So if the liberals are going to allow the one thing, they've got to let them all in, and I think that's just a hop, skip, and a jump down to one Supreme Court decision that's going to allow this.
Yep.
And once you allow that, what's the problem? Well, now you can just pretty much count the generations, maybe 3, I don't know, before the idea of a man and a woman together as a marriage normality is going to be gone, and because when Levi knows he's allowed to marry 3 women, right? Why would he settle for 1? So basically now the concept of settling for 1 chick is going to be gone. It's going to be ancient history within 100 years, and every guy is going to want more than 1 chick. And when that happens, now women are going to have a hard time trying to find a guy, right? And they're going to have to settle for being one of 3 wives or 4 wives, right? So this hurts women's rights. This is an attack against women because it puts them in a situation where they're never protected. They're always going to be in a situation now that they're going to have 5 wives, be one of 5 wives, And if that's what you want to put women in that situation. If please don't tell me that you stand up for women's rights. Please do not call yourself a feminist and a women's rights advocate, right? When you also are preaching same-sex marriage. You can only have 1. Because when you preach that same-sex marriage should be legal in America, you just stabbed all of your girlfriends in the back, because all future women were going to have to eventually face up to the fact that they will only ever be one of 5 women married to the guy. Am I right, Levi? Do I have a point?
I think there's something to that.
Thank you. And very last thing, I know you're getting antsy over there. A male slave and a female slave. Again, it's not male servant. It's not a male slave. It's a male indentured servant with a female indentured servant. And it says that the owner could assign the female to his male. And the female must submit sexually to their new husbands. It makes it sound like you can take like out of one and throw it into the house of the other and say, go at her. But it's not like that at all. In the Gemara says Referish in Kedushin, Tractate Kedushin, Masechta Kedushin, I think it's in 15, I don't know, you can look it up, 15a, I think. It says over there that Rabbi Lezer says, no, it's that it has to have the agreement of these people. You can't just, the pasuk, if you see, this is where they fall off because they only know it in English. If you look at the pasuk said it has the word lo in it, and the pasuk, the verse has the word lo, which means not. So it really is the opposite of this. It means that the owner can't do that. He must get the permission of the two involved. So actually, then what is the verse coming in to teach us? It's teaching us that a male Eved and a female Shifcha, the two servants, are allowed to marry each other. You're allowed to have them get married while they're in captivity or whatever you want to. While they're serving you, you're allowed to make marriages between these people. These people are allowed to get married to each other. Torah is coming and saying that you might think that they're not allowed to get married to each other until they finish their servitude. Come and learn that these people are allowed to get married while they're there. So I think it's a nicety, right? And they have a say in it. But once again, they take these words out of context. They mistranslate. They don't know how to read Hebrew. They don't have the oral Torah behind it, and then you end up with like this whole page of stupidity. All right. If you have any questions, contact me. I'm going to give you the link to that. You can post it on your blog tomorrow. I'm also going to try to put that up on my own Facebook so everybody can have a look at that. Okay. Any questions, Levi?
No. Let's open it up the chat room. See if people have said anything.
All right. Let's see. Is there anybody left? We got 4 people left. Oh, God, there's a whole lot of stuff here, Levi, and it probably went off the screen. I haven't seen it. Okay, no, I saw the thing.
Scroll down.
Okay.
Scroll down.
Scroll down, I haven't seen any of this. Oh, yeah, I saw that part when he was trying to... Oh, there it is. The oral laws are rabbinical fantasy. Well, Lakewood Rav... You know what? We don't need your heresy here. Malachi got it right. The entire oral Torah was given to Moses at Sinai. Perfect. Malachi asked Rabs, is it not true that, according to Jewish law, that no one can be forced to marry someone they don't want to? Exactly. Right? You know that, right? In fact, you're not even allowed to marry somebody who's unattractive to you. Right? Because it says that if a woman is unattractive, or that could be either way.
You keep preaching the gospel.
I'll be preaching the gospel, right? It says you must marry somebody that's attractive to you physically, because if you marry someone who's unattractive to you, then you're going to come to hate them. And Torah is very concerned about a marriage, and that a marriage should work. So if you have 2 people, and one of them's not attracted to the other, this is a marriage that's destined to fail. Based on that, we insist that they must see each other before that they get married. Okay, and so there's that. So you can't be forced to marry somebody who's unattractive to you, and you can't be forced to marry somebody you don't want to be married to. You always have the option out. Okay. But the Manchester. What's wrong with polygamy? What's wrong with polygamy? The reason there was nothing wrong with polygamy. And we know that because, one thing at a time. There's nothing wrong in a polygamy in a society that wants polygamy. In a society where every single member of the society wants polygamy, and everybody's good with it, I don't see a problem. Who am I to judge on a society that works for them, where every member of the society, like you talk to the women, and they're happy to be one of 4 women in a marriage, and they're fine with it. And their husband gives them a lot of money; they get 1/4 of the money that's spent, right? And they have like their own house, each family has their own house or whatever. Like, you ever see the show Big Love on HBO?
Yeah, I love that show.
If everybody's happy with it, like, who are we to judge, right? Right? What's the problem, right? It's when you don't want that. You're a woman and you want to have a guy for yourself, right? And every guy says, no, I want 5 women, then you're out of luck. And then you're forced into these kind of situations against your will, right? And that's where Levi's going to shine, because he's going to go, I'm going to give you all the love for yourself, right? That's going to be Levi's in. Okay, there's 3 people that are called guests. That means there's 3 people right now who are watching the show and who are not signed into the chat room. I would invite all 3 of you, if you're, yes, you. If you're watching the show and you're not in the chat room, go ahead, create a login on the website, log in, click up, open up the chat room, join us, let us know who you are. If I'm married to 2 women, can I have them? I don't even want to know what that is. Okay. All right, so that's that on that. Any questions, Levi?
No.
You're good on that?
Yep.
All right, so the next thing is, do you have time for a couple more things?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask you a question because I've done a lot of talking, okay?
Okay.
I'll ask you 2 things. I'll ask you one big thing. Let's talk about politics for a second.
Yeah.
Herman Cain dropped out of the race.
Yeah, what a loser. He turned out to be. If the allegations are not true, he should have stayed in. If the allegations are true, he should never have entered.
Yeah, that's very profound, right? Because the allegation was that
I think obviously he was having an affair with that woman.
Okay, well, here's the thing: if he was having an affair with that woman, that means that if that story is 100% accurate, then he was having the affair when he announced that he was running for president, right?
That's reckless.
That is just mondo stupid, because you're trusting that this woman is not going to out you, right? Let me tell you something, dude.
And why is he texting her at like 4:30 a.m. and like, why are you texting some woman 100, 200 times if you're not having an affair with her?
Yeah, it's always the cell phone that gets them in trouble. It's always the texting. Have you noticed that? That's what tore Tiger down.
Yeah.
Tiger went down with that, you know. And there's been other guys too. I can't think of them right off the top of my head.
So I mean, the critics of Cain must be right. I mean, he was just irresponsible and.
Tony Parker.
Who's that?
Tony Parker?
Mm-hmm.
He's the guard on San Antonio Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know him? You watch
Vaguely,
basketball?
Yeah.
He was married to Ava Longoria.
Uh-huh.
And they got their phone bill, or it was either she checked the phone bill or she saw his whatever, and she saw that his cell phone number had called her best friend like hundreds of times in a month. And she's like, well, what the fuck? Why are you calling my best friend 100 times in a fucking month? Right? And like she busted him for fooling around with her best friend.
Yeah.
Right? It's always, these guys always get caught with the cell phone and the texting.
You got to learn from Breaking Bad. Use the second cell phone.
Second cell phone! Use the second cell phone. But you know what? If you also got to learn from Breaking Bad that he got busted with it at the last episode, I think, of the 2nd season. If you're going to do it, don't get under sodium pentothal. Like, oh my God, do not get put on sodium pentothal with your wife in the room, because that's when it happened. Right? That's when he got busted. And he was out of the house for the next 2 seasons. She was pissed. All right, hey, we got a new member in the Glev the Champ. How's it going, Brett? Good to see you. Missed a heavy-duty Torah session. We were talking about, you're going to have to watch it. We were talking about marriage, according to Tara. Pissy Night. P-S-Y Night. Don't know who that is, but hello to you. Maybe you want to tell us who you are. Okay, so Cain is out. Cain's out, right? Who are you supporting now? Who do you like?
My gut says Gingrich and my head says Romney. Because Gingrich is just too unreliable. He is a total egomaniac. Will probably be a horrible administrator. But he's very impressive in debates.
Yeah, okay. Do you have a problem with his personal life? The fact that
No.
he had 3 wives and he fooled around on the wife while she was in
No, I mean, I don't think it's a good thing, but I don't care.
Do you have a problem with the fact that he is one of these guys who sells influence. That he's one of these
No, I
heavy-duty
don't care about
lobbyists.
that.
He's part of the problem in Washington.
I don't care about
He's a
lobbyists.
Washington insider.
I don't think that's a problem.
And he's full of corruption, and he's tied to.
I don't care about that.
We talked about Casino Jack. He's tied to that guy.
Jackie Abramoff.
He's part of the whole bribery and corruption in Washington. You don't have a problem with
that?
that?
No.
What about this? What about the fact that I got two more?
I think Romney's more conservative than Gingrich.
Okay, well, I got two more things.
Gingrich is unreliable.
How about this? That Senator Conrad last night on Fox News. I don't know if you know.
Coburn.
Oh, you do. You know. Not only do you know about it, you know more about it. The senator from Oklahoma who came in as a congressman, Tom Coburn from Oklahoma, who came in as a congressman.
Did he find it difficult to support Gingrich?
Because I can't support the Gingrich because he's an idiot. He's not a leader.
Yeah.
But here's my last thing. You're right. He's not so conservative. Do you know that he was good with? I have big problems.
Single payer. He was
single payer.
Bought into global warming. He's for amnesty.
For illegal aliens. I cannot vote for this guy. But there's one thing that he did that I like.
Yeah.
He has now said on his short list that there's two names that he's considering for his VP running mate, and one of them's Alan West. Hearing that alone already puts him like a soft spot in my mind. I really like him now. Yeah. Just based on that, because I want Alan West to be president, and if this is what it takes, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to support Gingrich 100%, despite all the problems, despite the fact that this guy is a phony baloney and a crook and a cheater and a liar and a despicable guy, and he's
unreliable and opportunist and egotist
and all these things, right? But if he's willing to have if he's going to beat Obama and put Alan West into the White House, and maybe like lead to Alan West being president of this country, I think it's worth it. Because what are the alternatives? I don't like Romney. Romney's like a used car salesman. He'll say anything on any night just to make himself look like good. I don't trust this guy as far as the guy just seems like greasy and I don't like him. And you know when I started feeling that way? Isn't recently, my friend. It was 4 years ago. The first time he was interviewed, when he first announced he was going to run for president in 2007. They asked him. They had 2 minutes till the commercial, and they said, "Hey," we asked him a quick yes or no question. "Hey, would you be willing, if sanctions don't work, if economic sanctions don't work on Iran, would you be willing to use military?" 2 minutes, he couldn't answer a simple yes or no question. He still never answered it. I'm still waiting for his answer. He danced through. He couldn't answer it. I said, I hate this guy already. This guy is not my guy. So I had problems with Romney. I couldn't vote for him. You want to know who I think is looking good right now back on paper?
Who?
Bachmann. I'm going back to Bachmann.
Yeah, she's gotten the best grades on illegal immigration by Numbers USA, which is a leading anti-illegal immigration group, and they give Michelle Bachmann a B+, which is the highest of any of the Republican candidates.
Yeah, she's great on immigration. Mm-hmm. She's consistent. Mm-hmm. She will not compromise on Obamacare and repealing it. Yeah. On any of these little budget things. She's always like, don't compromise with these guys. You know, she absolutely will not raise taxes. I actually believe her. I think she's the most conservative of all the people running. She's very supportive of the state of Israel, right? I just think probably if she would just say, okay, you know what? I also like Alan West, and I would consider putting him on my short list. Bachmann has my support. I think she's the strongest candidate. You know, forget like how many percentage of people want each one. It's just like who would you at the end of the day, who would you want to see in the White House at this point? Of those, how many there are? 6, 7 of them? Who's left?
My gut still says Newt Gingrich. My gut says he's a bit like Winston Churchill before World War II. Like Winston Churchill had this reputation for being an egomaniac and someone who switched positions and switched political parties and all that. But at the time of trouble, Winston stepped it up.
Okay, let me ask you this.
I think Newt Gingrich could be like that.
Just to play a little devil's advocate, he said that went on record and said that Hillary Clinton makes a very good Secretary of State. Do you trust the appointments that he would make to the Supreme Court, to the Secretary of State? No,
My head says no. My head says he cannot be trusted. My gut says he could be great. But my head says no. totally untrustworthy.
Right. He scares me.
Yeah, he scares me too.
But he's also, let's be honest, he's the most likely to get himself impeached. Of all the people running, he's the most likely to stick his hands in some money and do some sort of corruption thing.
But he's the most verbally gifted of all the candidates.
Yeah.
He can give a better speech than anyone. He could debate Obama better than anyone.
Oh, absolutely.
So he'd be really exciting because you never know what's going to happen.
And I don't know if you saw the polls today, but he's already moved ahead of Obama one-on-one.
Oh, really?
Gingrich moved ahead of Obama one-on-one today in the polls, if you go look it up. Right? And up till now, the only person who could compete with Obama has been Romney, but now Gingrich can also do it.
Gingrich would definitely be more exciting than Romney. Romney would govern as a centrist who would be center-right economically, otherwise would be centrist, would be kind of a technocrat. Gingrich, we have no idea what he'd do. We have no idea.
I don't like the fact that he was okay with the amnesty thing. I don't like the fact that he did a commercial together with Pelosi.
No, there's so many things I don't like about Gingrich.
I know he's got too much baggage. He's got like Alan West said, he's got 200 pounds of personal baggage. He's not my first pick.
No.
All right, next thing.
Yeah.
I have one more thing.
Yeah.
PS Knight, PSY Knight. Who are you? Psychedelic Knight. I'm a young Orthodox Jew from Montreal. Oh, well, welcome to the shop. Yeah. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about. Look up Levi's Facebook. We'll do that after the show. Right now, we're. I got one last thing when we get to the Parashat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of our viewers, Levi, sent us something very interesting. They were watching. We have a lot of. We're big on the internet.
We got 24 viewers. Regular viewers.
No, we're
dedicated, hardcore.
No, but our
they'd kill for us.
Some of our videos, the special videos, have gathered hundreds.
15,000.
Some of them have gotten thousands. Yeah, but some of the Rebushkin ones that we did, I'd say each one of those has at least 250 to 350. Some have over 1,000. We are big out there on the mean streets of the internet, right?
Yeah.
Somebody banged recently, just must have like the last few days. Somebody I don't even know, some random internet person, I always call them, right? Bumped into our stuff and said, I got to point you to something that you need to see.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were talking about how, if you remember the Rebushkin case, we were talking about what, Levi? You remember it?
Yes.
Okay. Remember how the appeal was based on the fact that the presiding judge in the original case had a potential conflict of interest and should have recused herself from the trial.
Yeah.
And that was what the basis of the appeal was about. The appeal was denied. So it was brought to my attention that there's something we need to know, or something everybody needs to know, about the appellate judge. There was 3 judges sitting there, 3 justices, and one of them is somebody that everybody needs to know about. Because she also has we have reason to question her judgment, if you will. Right? She's got an appearance of impropriety. I'm going to bring it up. I have a file which I'm going to link you to as well. And by the way, I found this file, or the person found this file on a website that's dedicated to Catholics, of all people. It's a Catholic website.
Yeah.
And it talks about like heavy-duty Catholic stuff. Right? And
so do we.
Yeah, because that's what we basically do. This is Catholic.
Basically heavy-duty Catholic stuff.
This is what we do every week. We talk about heavy-duty Catholic stuff.
Abortion's handmade.
Yeah, well, okay. This was on a site written by a heavy-duty, full-blown Catholic. Okay, so if you're a Catholic and you're watching this is going to be very interesting to you. Because, the Catholics are really anti-abortion and whatnot, right? So they wrote out a thing. I have a PDF here, which I'm going to link to you. And everybody can read it. I'll put it on my Facebook. And you put on your blog, maybe, the link to it? Okay. And it's a piece written by a devout Catholic, and it has to do with the University of St. Thomas, which is apparently a Catholic school, and they have a law school. And the chairwoman of the executive committee for the board of trustees of that Catholic law school is a Judge Diana Murphy. Judge Diana Murphy. And this particular writer has a very big problem with her being the chairwoman. And if you read through it, it's very interesting because she has a long history of, well, I'm just going to get to the point. She is what a lot of critics call somebody who legislates at the bench. She has she's an ideologue who has her own ideologies, and she has used those ideologies, apparently, according to this author, to put to find favor. What do you want to say? Rule in favor of things that promote her ideologies, and her ideologies are: she's big on abortion, pro-abortion. She's a feminist. She seems to be very anti-religion, and no one understands. It's appella that she is the chairwoman of a Catholic school because she appears to be anti-religion. She seems to be has a big problem with men-dominated religions, and I can't think of a more man-dominated religion than Catholicism, where everything is run by the Pope or the priest, and you know what I mean. So she hates. She has a problem with male-dominated religions. She has a problem apparently with so she's pro-active feminism and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
To the point that, according to him, if you read through the file, that there's been even contradictions in some of her rulings, because in some cases, like whatever she needs to go her way, that's the way she rules. And there's a lot of questions on that. But his point wasn't questioning her judgment per se, was questioning her knowing these ideologies of her. What's she doing in a Catholic school?
Mm-hmm.
She's not the best person. So he's writing a complaint that she needs to be removed as being on the board of trustees. Now, what's interesting is you're thinking, well, Rabs, you just talked for 5 minutes. We don't care. Okay, but it looks good just to look at me because I'm hot. Okay. She happened to be one of the appellate justices that ruled against Rabashkin. Not only is she one of the repellent justices, but apparently...
Repellent justices?
She's a repellent. She is one of the 3 appellate justices at the 8th Circuit Court in Missouri that ruled against Rabashkin. Now, you're saying, so what? What does that have to do with anything? Well, let's think about this. Right? Who is Rabashkin? He's an Orthodox Jew. It's a male-dominated religion, according to opponents of religion, even though we know that it's not a male-dominated religion. We talked about that tonight. It's an even, and men and women are even. We're equal. But according to the opponents who condemn us, who don't know shit, they think it's a male-dominated religion. Then she's probably one of them, and that could fit into, hey, she's got a thing. It's part of her ideology. She doesn't like male-dominated religions, right? So she's got that, right? That's number one. And number two is, what's the basis of the appeal? The basis of the appeal is that the presiding judge at the original trial may have had a conflict of interest, and it's based on her. So the judge would need to rule against that other judge. Now, it's interesting that on that day, we talked about this before at length, that the day of the appeals, that the judge in question, Linda Reed, met with this Judge Murphy in St. Louis that day, and they served together on other cases, as she was the fill-in judge or whatever. Now, so what? Well, apparently, according to this person who contacted me, and I don't know this specifically because I haven't done the due diligence, and I apologize for that, but you want me to do the due diligence, it's going to cost you more money. But apparently, Linda Reed is also a feminist with an agenda, which I didn't know before. But according to this person, Linda Reed is a feminist, a fellow feminist judge. So now you got 2 feminist judges with an agenda who are ideologues, and they're both very, very pro-abortion, right? Now I don't know if they realize that Judaism is actually okay with abortions, right? They may not even realize that. but they may not care. They just group all religion into one, and therefore you have what we have now is the appearance of impropriety, because you have one ideologue who shares the same ideology as the other, deciding the fate of that one against, right, the defendant, right, who is Rabashkin, who's part of a male-dominated religion. Mm-hmm. So you can start putting together pieces now. I'm not questioning the judgment of the appellate judge. I want to be very specific about this and very clear. I'm saying it's not that this is what motivated her to not go with the this is not what motivated her to uphold the appeal. This is how it could appear, and therefore you have an appearance of impropriety, and she too probably should have recused herself from that case. So you see what's going on. We've got shenanigans possibly going on at the low-level judge. She should have recused herself. And now we're learning that we might also have that the appellate judge should have recused herself for other similar reasons. So this just... Lady, what do you have to say about that?
Nothing.
Okay, probably best. You know, it says the sayag la chochma shtika, that the fence...
Teach your mouth to say, I do not know.
Yeah, that makes yourself... to wisdom is to keep quiet. So that's all there is. And plus there's one other interesting nakuda, and then we'll get to the parsha. And the other point is that this appellate judge, Murphy, is also on the commission, the National Commission for the United States Sentencing Guidelines Commission. Mm-hmm. She determines sentencing guidelines. And Levi always said, I don't know if he's guilty or not, but 27 years, that's really screwed up, because you don't give a guy like that 27 years when you have murderers who walk out after 7 or something like that, right? So who gave the sentencing guidelines? This woman, she's she's in charge of that stuff, right? So like she threw the book at him. It's like she wouldn't have a problem with that. It's just like there's a lot of weird stuff going here, Levi. So I'm going to keep my eye on it. Folks, if you have information, you send it to us. We're going to get to the bottom of this, because this is a story that just is not going away, Levi. This story is not going away, right? But you remember, you want to keep us going. You got to keep. What have we got to do, Levi? You got to keep sending us money to do the work, right?
Support Torah Talks.
Support Torah Talks, everybody. Okay. You want to get to the parsha?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait a second. Look.
There's nothing in there. Just go to the parsha.
Okay. And you look for the parsha, and I'll look at the game. Oh, San Diego's winning big. Yay! Okay. You got the time.
This week's Torah portion is Vayishlach, Genesis 32 to 36. Rabbi Beryl Wine writes, Jacob prepares himself for soothing Esau by gifts and wealth, pointing out to Esau that it is beneficial to him to have Jacob around, being productive. He also strengthens himself spiritually in prayer and in appeal to God to deliver him from Esau. Finally, as a last resort, he is prepared to fight Esau with his own weapons, the sword and the war. So, it's good to prepare with money, with gifts, pointing out to people how beneficial it is to have you around. It's good to strengthen yourself spiritually with prayer and Torah study in your relationship with God. And it's also good to have guns.
Guns never hurt anybody.
Exactly. Rabbi Wine writes, Jacob successfully disarms Esau by showering him with gifts and compliments. Does not really have a serious discussion with him about their outstanding differences. So often, you don't need to have deep discussions with people about your differences. Often you can just give them gifts and compliments, and that will just smooth things over. So you got a problem with me, just send me some money and we can forget about our serious differences. Sometimes
that was smooth how you got the money thing in there right away. Yeah, I like that.
So sometimes talk is good, but often liquor is quicker.
Yeah.
So I don't drink. Therefore, my dates usually do not drink either when we go out to eat dinner. So this makes progress more halting in many instances. Sometimes progress never happens at all, because often the first time you need to get drunk, to overcome your inhibitions.
I have a similarity too.
And your better judgment.
I don't drink, and my dates aren't old enough to. And I'm serious. All right.
There are now, and there have been till now, many attempts to find a middle ground between traditional Judaism, the ideas of modernity and behavior of the modern world. But, the truth be said, no universal successful formula confronting the modern world has as yet been formulated by the descendants of Jacob. Meanwhile, the modern world and its ideas are ripping gaping holes in the fabric and population of the Jewish people. Not everyone can or should divorce oneself from the modern world swirling about us. Yet again, not everyone can successfully reconcile Torah life with commitment to the realities of the modern world. There's some Torah Jews, it's fine to be engaged with the modern world, but other Torah Jews, you need to step away from it and live in the Torah corral.
Right on.
Were Jacob's sons wrong to wipe out the Shechemites? So
can we just call them the Shechem, the people of Shechem?
So the prince of Shechem slept with Dinah, seduced her, raped her, and abducted her. And so Jacob's sons concoct this scheme where say, we'd be happy to marry with you, but first you guys all have to get circumcised. And then on the third day after the circumcision, the sons sweep in and kill them all. So non-Jews read this passage and think that Jews are bloodthirsty and that we're at least partly responsible for the chaos in the Middle East. So I take from this passage that the only way the brothers could free Dinah was by wiping out her captors. Are you horrified by this passage?
Well, it helps, once again, as we talked about earlier, the Bible is not, Judaism is not a biblical religion. You're not supposed to learn the Bible in a vacuum. The written words of the Torah by themselves, you're lost on. They have nothing to do with Judaism. We have an oral tradition. The oral tradition explains exactly what goes on in this episode. Do you want me to explain it? Mm-hmm. Okay. What happened was, Dinah went out and she was raped. Okay? She was raped. She was forcibly forced into sex against her will. Rashi points out that she was violated both vaginally and anally. We talked about this last year. I remember saying last year that she got raped in the ass, and you started laughing.
It's not a laughing matter. Let me tell you, from my time in a Turkish prison.
You were laughing last year because you had no idea that that's what it meant. Because we were learning Rashi together, and you didn't know that lo kedarka meant anal sex. And
silly me.
And then you said, "Oh my God, poor Dina got raped in the ass," and you just started laughing. But that's what happened. She got raped in 2 holes, and okay. Now you're going to ask the question. Well, okay, so why do you need to kill anybody? Because Torah says...
Yeah, why can't you just forgive?
Yeah, because rape is not a capital offense, according to Torah. Right? It's aggravated assault, right? It's assault. But it's not a capital crime. It's not like murder. Right? So how could her brothers kill anybody legally? They don't have the moral high ground to do that. The Torah doesn't allow that. It's not a capital offense. That's number 1. And 2 is, aren't we just, like you said, the prince? Isn't he the problem?
Yeah.
He's the prince of
sodomy.
The prince of sodomy here, right? So isn't he the problem? Why are you killing all the rest of the town? Like, what the hell is this? Like, where's this fatwa coming against everybody, right? So let's understand what's going on. Torah is only talking about, it gives you very, very cryptic things. The story is, there's 2 opinions on this, by the way. There are those that say, there's Rishonim, like the Rambam, different people. There's different opinions on this. But everybody agrees that every single person in the town was culprit to this. Everybody was involved. Either because they saw it go down and they didn't say anything, And it says that he who sees something and doesn't try to prevent it as if he did it himself. So everybody was watching this rape, and they were like good with it. Maybe they were even going, go, whoa, 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 You know how that goes, right? Because Levi was a kid once. All right, so there's that.
I ran with a gang. I'll admit it.
Yeah, and then there's the other opinion that says more than that she was gang raped. And it wasn't just gang raped by one or two guys. The entire town had sex with her. Like every single one of those guys deserved to have their dicks cut off, and that's why that they said, okay, I got something for you. Why don't you all cut your dicks? Because really they deserve to have all their dicks cut off all the way, so they said, why don't you just cut them off a little bit? Because they're all a bunch of fuckheads. And if you look at the words of the written Torah in Hebrew and understand them, it'll say things like, because all of you have sinned, right? So the question is, well, where do they all sin? But they all agree to it. You don't say, hey, you don't see a single one of them saying, hey, we didn't sin. You never see that. So you have to ask yourself the question, why did they all go along with this? Why is it that when the Torah says that all of you have sinned, nobody says, no, we didn't. We had nothing to do with it. We weren't even home that day. I was on
studying Jane Austen.
We were, at the ball game. We were watching we were on the internet. We were doing all kinds of stuff. We have nothing to do with this, but every single one of these people was guilty. Okay? Now, there's also an opinion that says that since the prince was in charge and the prince said everybody should do this because there's money involved in it, right? Because they're going to get money from Yaakov and he's going to split it up amongst all these people. There's a lot of different things going on here, and they're all true. Now, so that's what's going on with that. Now, okay, so why did they kill all these people? The question now becomes, why do they kill them all when it's not a capital offense, right, Levi?
Yeah.
Okay, and the answer is, it's very interesting. Yaakov knew that, he remembered that when Abraham Avinu, when his grandfather went with Sarah to neighboring lands, met with people from neighboring lands, that these guys always wanted to have sex with Sarah, and God always intervened so that the man could not have sex with him. What happened with down in Egypt? The guy came
down with a disease.
He came down with a disease. He couldn't do it with Sarah, and Abraham said he was the sister. Sarah is the sister, and nevertheless, it was a lie. But nevertheless, nothing happened because God wouldn't allow it to happen. Then Isaac and Rivka, Yitzchak and Rivka got visited by some strangers from a different land. And so Yitzchak did the same thing and said, Rivka's my sister. And God prevented, you remember this story? And God prevented something from happening. So Yaakov knows what happens here is, this God always steps in and makes sure that nothing happens. Here was a situation where it really was the sister. It wasn't his wife, it was his daughter, but it was the sister of all the brothers, right? It really was the truth. And so he assumed nothing's going to happen to her because if, it's a kol shekain, if when you lie and you say it's the sister and God always intervenes to make sure nothing happens, so how much more so God will intervene and step in and protect when it really is the sister. But it didn't happen that way because Dinah wasn't protected and Dinah got raped. So Yaakov said, okay, I don't want to get involved in this thing. I don't want to get involved in this thing because I see that there's no protection going on here. So he was like, I'm not touching this one. There's no protection. The brothers said, hey, you know what? We're going to kill all these guys. And he said, I don't think you guys have the Torah authority to do that. Yaakov said, you don't have Torah authority to do it. It's not a capital offense. He said, there's a difference here. There's a nafkamina. When you were talking about your father and your grandfather, that was talking about people who don't live in Eretz Yisrael. It was down in Egypt, or these people who are on vacation walking through Eretz Yisrael. Well, right now, we're talking about in Eretz Yisrael. Shechem is a city in Eretz Yisrael. It's the land of Israel. These are the people we have to live with on our land. Torah has a halacha. Torah says that if the goyim physically attack Jews while we are sitting on our land, we are allowed to kill them. And this was a physical attack against us, and for our own self-protection, we must administer the death penalty against them. And that, my friends, is why they said to their father, no, this is a special case. They attacked us. They attacked Dinah. They physically assaulted her. They made the Jews look bad, if you will, and they put us in harm's way. Now it's a different crime. This is not about rape. This is about physical assault, and therefore they're all going down. And that's the story on that. Is there any questions?
No.
Does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
When Dinah went out to see the daughters of the land, did she sin?
Did she sin?
Yeah.
No, but she followed the ways of Leah. Leah was a party woman. She used to go out.
So she's like Paris Hilton.
Yeah, pretty much, except that I don't know that she showed her coochie in front of the camera.
Okay. Are there things that women can do that make them more or less likely to be raped? If a woman gets drunk in a frat house, she's not morally culpable if she's raped, but she's responsible for putting herself in a position to be raped.
What do you think on that one? Is that what you think?
Yes, that's what I think.
But I don't want to take away any of the responsibility from the guy.
Right.
The bottom line is, at the end of the day, it's the guy who has to not do it, and there's no excuse in the world.
Yeah, but women, like if you go get drunk in a frat house, if you go out with the wrong people, if you put yourself in a bad situation, if you dress like a slut, you're more likely to get raped.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Michelle's in the room. Hey, Michelle, how's it going?
Hamor went out to Jacob and told him that Shechem longed for Dinah and asked Jacob to give her to him for a wife and to agree that the two people might intermarry and live together and trade together. It's a typical story in Jewish history. The Goyim come and say, let's intermarry and live together. That is not the Jewish destiny. How amazing must Dinah have been that Shechem and his people were willing to circumcise themselves so everyone could live together in peace. I've met a few women in my time that had I not been circumcised, I would have consented to the unkindest cut of all. There was this one black girl I knew.
Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, tell us, Levi, what happened?
Simeon and Levi asked whether they allow someone to treat their sister as a prostitute. So this is kind of like ethnic pride, like ethnic groups, be they Jews or Latinos or Arabs. They tend to have a more proprietary attitude towards their women than the WASPs, who are about the only group that does not live through the children.
What the hell does that have to do with Simeon and Levi?
It's subtle.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Where was Jacob in this Dinah episode? He seems passive. His sons apparently did not even consult him.
Oh no, I just explained that.
And I'm done.
You got it. What else you got, Levi?
That's it.
Well, let's back up. Let's talk about some other stuff before we sign off. Okay.
Okay.
So, what's going on with you and your school?
Well, we won't go into that.
Uh-oh, something happened?
No, everything's fine. But, I'll answer it this way. As I went therapist in therapy on Friday, my therapist said, why do you have to keep making life difficult on yourself? And I was asked today, what do you get out of provoking people? So what do I get out of provoking people?
You love confrontation.
I love provoking people. I love it. It makes me feel alive. It's so fun.
You said that that's what you love about our show, is that it's confrontational. You had a different word for it, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. But what do you think I get out of constantly provoking people? Like stirring them up, saying outrageous things online.
Attention?
Yeah.
I think the bottom line with everything is attention.
Yeah.
I think if you could sum up Levi in one little key phrase, it would be, look at me. Look at me, blah, 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 blah.
So the reason I want to make life difficult for myself is to get attention.
Yeah, probably. You know, that seems like your big drive on everything. You know. So you don't want to talk about your school thing at all?
No, I'm making life difficult for myself.
Okay, whatever. What else is going on? What's happening with the 12 steps, lady?
I've been really poor the last 6 months. I haven't done any unnecessary driving, so haven't hit many meetings. So you can probably tell that. The misogyny keeps flowing out of me. And yeah, it's been a while since I've hit the 12 steps. Yeah. So.
And I heard there's a woman in your life now.
There is?
Yeah, she's on your Facebook page.
Really? Oh, Justin sent someone my way. So
yeah.
She's in Israel, so.
Oh, yeah. And you like them.
Oh.
All right, so this is getting really boring. Maybe you should cut it off. You got anything else?
So important that the kiddies stay off the crack and stay in yeshiva.
All right, good show. All right, let me save everything.